Welcome back to Hailing Frequencies, fellow Whovians. I'm Stu Jackson, but before we go anywhere with today's video, we need to go to Red Alert because this video contains spoilers, and there are definitely spoilers aplenty here for the Doctor Who episode The Reality War. So if you haven't seen the season 2 finale yet, pause this video, go watch it, then come back to see if you agree with this week's picks. So today we're breaking down the wild ride that was Doctor Who Season 2, Episode 8, The Reality War. This episode had everything. High-stakes drama, the return of two fan-favourite characters, and one shocking twist that left us speechless. Stick around because at the end I'll share a mind-blowing theory about that surprise return of a beloved companion. Before we transmat in though, I've got a question for you. With a break before Star Trek Strange New World Season 3 returns on July the 14th, what sci-fi show should we review next in the meantime? Let me know in the comments. Your suggestion might be our next deep dive. Now, let's open the TARDIS doors and get into the reality war. First up, we need to talk about Ncuti Gatwa's seemingly early departure. After only 2 seasons and a couple of specials, Ncuti's 15th Doctor has already bowed out. In fact, Gatwa's tenure, roughly 18 months across 16 episodes, marks the shortest run for a Doctor since Christopher Eccleston's single season in 2005. It's a shocking move considering modern Doctors often stick around for about 3 seasons. This early regeneration raises the question, is a shorter stint the new norm, or was this an outlier? Historically, long-term Doctors have had mixed fortunes. Tom Baker famously helmed the TARDIS for 7 years from 1974 to 1981, the longest of any Doctor. His iconic run made him a household name, but it also typecast him so deeply that escaping the Doctor's shadow proved challenging. In contrast, David Tennant, who led the show from 2005 to 2010, chose to leave after 3 full series at the height of his popularity. Tennant was mindful of not overstaying his welcome, and it paid off. He avoided being pigeonholed and went on to a vibrant career in theatre and TV, from Broadchurch to Good Omens. Of course, Tennant's love for Who never waned, and he returned, of course, for the 50th anniversary and again in 2023 as the 14th Doctor, proving that leaving on a high note doesn't mean never coming back. So, Gatwa's quick exit puts him in interesting company. On the one hand, he joins Eccleston in the one and done, well, 2 and done club, leaving fans wanting more. On the other, it bucks the trend set by long-running Doctors like Baker and the modern fan favourite Tennant. Now, I can't help but wonder, was this Ncuti's choice to avoid typecasting and pursue new roles, or a bold plot decision by Russell T Davies? Either way, it's a gutsy move that has fans divided and anxious about the show's future. And yes, we'll address the other huge casting shocker from this episode in just a bit, so stay tuned. Now let's dive into the episode itself. The reality war throws us straight into the action from the get-go. We find the Doctor in dire straits, trapped in a collapsing alternate reality, the so-called Wish World, at the cliffhanger of last week's episode. He's miraculously rescued by Anita. Yes, Anita is back, the resourceful ally we last saw in the episode The Time Hotel. She pulls the Doctor through a portal in the Time Hotel, which surreally exists outside of time. This enables the Doctor to perform a clever reality reset within Unit HQ, and everyone's proper memories return. However, the respite is brief. Enter the Rani, the renegade Time Lord scientist, played with icy charisma by Archie Punjabi. She finally reveals her endgame, a bombshell piece of lore that rocked Whovians. Because Time Lords are sterile, They can no longer reproduce naturally, a fallout from ancient Gallifreyan history, and deep cut lore alert. In classic Doctor Who novels, Gallifreyans became sterile after the Pythia's curse and had to use genetic looms to weave new Time Lords artificially. The Rani, in true mad genius fashion, is determined to rebirth the Time Lord race, and she sought out the ultimate bioengineer to do it. Omega! Yes, that Omega, the founding father of Time Lord society termed primordial villain. Using the pantheon baby god Desiderium, basically a reality warping wish granter, more on that weirdness soon, the Rani manages to free Omega from his antimatter exile. Omega emerges into reality into a terrifying beast form, a skeletal giant. At this point, the episode goes full cosmic horror. Omega isn't exactly grateful to the Rani for the rescue. In fact, in a grotesque turn, Omega devours the Rani. I mean, it's her fault, really. She had a clone or by generation of herself earlier in the series to cheat death, and this second Rani is the one who gets unceremoniously eaten by Omega's monstrous form. This shocking demise is poetic justice, as the Rani's hubris literally consumes her. With Omega now rampaging, the Doctor springs into action for the final showdown. He forces the raging Omega back into the Underverse using the Vindicators as a weapon. Ultimately, Omega is sealed away, at least for now. Meanwhile, amidst the cosmic battle, some very personal stories reach resolution. The other half of the Rani's bi-generation, the duplicitous Mrs. Flood, slinks off and escapes in the chaos. A villainess still at large to cause trouble another day. And remember Conrad, Ruby's ex-boyfriend who had teamed up with the Rani? Ruby hasn't forgotten his role in this mess. In a surprisingly tender twist, Ruby Sunday uses the power of the wish-granting child, Desiderium, the baby god, one last time, not for destruction, but for mercy. She wishes Conrad a new life, one where he can be genuinely happy and redeemed. Instantly, Conrad vanishes from his prison and reappears in the fixed timeline, living an ordinary, content life, reportedly as a cheerful cook in Lewisham, a huge upgrade from dying bitter in jail. With this act of kindness, though, by giving Conrad a fresh start, Ruby effectively resets existence, but undoes Poppy's brief existence as a pseudo-Time Lord child. In the end, the now powerless Desiderium, no longer a reality warper, is safely adopted by Ruby's own mum, Carla Sunday, ensuring the child a loving home. By the time the dust settles, the 15th Doctor and Belinda are reminded by Ruby of Poppy's existence. Swearing to bring Poppy back by using his own regeneration energy to shift reality, the Doctor shares a heartfelt goodbye with his friends, including a very emotional farewell to Belinda Chandra, telling her, "I hope you'll see me again, but not like this," knowing that his regeneration is imminent. Anita, our Time Hotel friend, gives the Doctor one more surprise. She delivers a cryptic message, "Hello from the boss." We're not told who the boss is, but long-time fans' ears perked up. The Meep, who you might remember, had previously referenced the boss. Anita's message hints that someone powerful has been pulling the strings, and that storyline will continue into the future. A tantalizing tease indeed. And then the moment comes. We get a lovely cameo from the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, and the Doctor now begins to regenerate and transforms. When the glow subsides, we see a blonde woman standing in his place. She looks up and simply greets us with an astonished, "Oh, hello." It's Rose Tyler's face, Billie Piper herself. The Doctor has regenerated into an incarnation that looks exactly like Rose. Talk about breaking reality. This wasn't just a fourth wall cameo, it's seemingly our new Doctor. The episode ends on that jaw-dropping cliffhanger. I mean, That was a really dense recap. The reality war certainly lived up to its name, with timeline resets, alternate worlds, gods and monsters, and a regeneration shocker for the ages. But before we jump into our hoorays and boo-hoos, we need to unpack some lore that this episode dredged up. The Rani's claim that Time Lords are sterile isn't just a villainous bluster, it actually aligns with deep Doctor Who lore from the novels and audios. In those stories, after an ancient curse on Gallifrey, the Pythia's curse, Gallifreyans lost the ability to have children naturally. To prevent their society from dying out, Rassilon supposedly created looms, machines that weave new Time Lords out of genetic material. Essentially, most Time Lords are loom-born, often emerging as fully grown adults rather than being born as children. This has never been explicitly confirmed in modern TV canon, but RTD just nodded to it on screen through the Rani. If the Time Lords, post-Timeless Child revelations, truly cannot reproduce normally, it explains a lot, including why the Doctor almost never talks about having kids. This brings us to Poppy, the mysterious wish baby introduced this season. Poppy was initially presented as a child somehow connected to the Doctor, suggesting she could even be the Doctor's daughter. Naturally, fans freaked out thinking this might tie into Susan Foreman, the Doctor's very first companion, and in 1960s canon, his granddaughter. Susan's existence has long been a puzzle. If Time Lords are sterile and loomed, how did the Doctor have a granddaughter? Some theories say Susan might have been adopted, or from the Doctor's family via the loom, or even from an alternate dimension. Poppy's introduction seemed like it might finally answer this. Perhaps the Doctor could have a child, under extraordinary circumstances like using his regeneration energy plus a reality warper like Desiderium to create one life. If Poppy had truly been the Doctor's biological child, that could have retroactively explained Susan's lineage. Maybe Susan was a similar miracle baby or the descendant of Poppy. However, the episode's resolution complicates this. Ultimately, Poppy is revealed not to have been the Doctor's natural child after all. She became Belinda's daughter in the reset timeline, since the universe had to fill in the gap once it couldn't make her actually the Doctor's offspring. In the end, Poppy is just a human baby girl, now living as an ordinary human with Belinda. If Poppy is purely human, that means the Doctor still has no known biological children. The tantalizing link to Susan remains unresolved. If anything, it raises the stakes on that mystery. Perhaps Susan's existence will be addressed later. Did the Doctor adopt her? Was she loom-born and the Doctor just calls her granddaughter affectionately? Or is there some future storyline where the Doctor does become a parent? Right now, we're left theorising. If Poppy was a red herring for Susan, it's a bit disappointing that we got no payoff. On the flip side, the concept of looms and Time Lord sterility is now out in the open, which could mean the show will circle back to Gallifrey's legacy, possibly explaining Susan in a future series. For now, though, Susan's mystery endures, and Poppy's role remains more thematic, showing the Doctor's yearning to save someone's child, even if he can't have his own. More thematic than plot critical, let's say. Despite some divisive elements, the reality war delivered plenty of thrills. So, here are our 3 hoorays, our highlights and happy moments from the episode. Number 1, the Time Hotel and Anita's return. I love the quirky, reality-bending time hotel concept. A hotel outside time with magic doors that can open anywhere. It's a very Doctor Who-ish idea, and it gave the Doctor a clever escape from last week's cliffhanger. I mean, sure, a literal Deus Ex Machina door, but a fun one. Even better, it brought back Anita, played by Steph Dwelly, for a triumphant cameo. Seeing her return here was a treat. Her banter with the Doctor and heroic save set an exciting, nostalgic tone right at the start. Hooray number 2, the Unit family reunion. This episode didn't forget the heart. After all the reality resets and mind wipes, we got a genuinely emotional reunion at Unit HQ. Belinda, Ruby, Kate Stewart, and even classic companion Mel Bush gather with the Doctor once reality is healed. The moment everyone remembers each other and comes together, hugs all round, really hits home. Seeing everyone united after such a reality-shattering ordeal was especially moving. It's that warmth and optimism, friends and family reforged, that balances out the show's wild sci-fi ideas, and it reminds us why we care about these characters. And hooray number 3, Jodie Whittaker's surprise cameo. 13 is back, and how awesome was it to see Jodie Whittaker return, however briefly, as the 13th Doctor. When the Doctor gets a timey-wimey assist from his past self, Jodie steps in to guide him at a crucial moment. Her appearance was both surprising and welcome. It connected the new era to the previous one and gave Whovians a jolt of joy seeing 13 again, as if no time had passed. Fans absolutely cheered when Jodie showed up, and it was a classic touch by RTD to include it in Gatwa's finale. It didn't overshadow Ncuti's Doctor. Instead, it felt like a passing of the torch pep talk from one Doctor to another, a definite highlight. But no TARDIS trip is perfect, and the reality war had a few moments that made me go, huh? So here are my top boo-hoos. The critiques and questions that left us less than satisfied. First of all, Rose's visibility inconsistency. So one puzzling bit of lore earlier in the story's Wish World, Conrad's warped reality, certain groups of people simply didn't exist or were invisible. Conrad's perfect world discriminated against disabled people. But how come trans or non-binary individuals like Rose Noble were erased from existence rather than simply ignored like others Conrad couldn't understand? It may have spoken to a darker undertone of how the more right-wing elements in our society simply don't see people like those who are disabled, but actively wish trans or non-binary people didn't exist at all. If so, then a harder hitting stance with a line or two of dialogue to support it would have been welcome. Such people don't tend to see themselves mirrored when a subtle approach is used. It often amazes me that people don't recognise the connections between Homelander and Trump in The Boys, for instance, or how some Trekkies talk about Star Trek being woke suddenly, almost as if it wasn't previously. It takes some pretty strong mental gymnastics, so a lighter touch with these messages isn't the way, in my view. Boohoo number 2, the Susan mystery. For fans hoping the Susan Foreman hints would amount to something, we got zilch. This season, bits and pieces had us speculating that the Doctor's granddaughter Susan might appear or be explained. From the focus on the Doctor's longing for a family to a throwaway line about the photo on the Doctor's desk, which may have been of Susan, it seemed like foreshadowing. The reality war even presented Poppy as a possible bridge to that topic. But by the end, Susan is not mentioned at all, and her mystery remains unresolved. This feels like a missed opportunity, or even a cruel tease. While I do appreciate that some loose threads for future stories are a good thing, it remains a boo-hoo for now. We expected at least a hint of how Susan fits into the canon of looms and sterile Time Lords. Instead, nothing. Perhaps the inherent mystery of Susan is something they're intentionally keeping in play, but still, it left many of us a bit frustrated. If you're going to dangle Susan, you better deliver, at least eventually. And boohoo number 3, an odd one this, it's Rose Tyler as the Doctor. Okay, so we need to address the bad wolf in the room. The Doctor regenerating into what looks like Rose Tyler had some fans, myself included, having some very mixed feelings. On one hand, Billie Piper is a phenomenal actor, and seeing her again is a huge thrill. On the other, this twist veers dangerously close to jumping the shark. It's a massive gimmick, seemingly done for shock value that could undermine the narrative if not handled carefully. The Doctor literally wearing the face of his old companion? That breaks all sorts of established rules, never mind the existential complications. Many viewers are concerned that this was done purely to grab headlines rather than to serve the story. The reaction has been sharply divided. Some are excited to see Billy, others are grumbling that Doctor Who has turned into EastEnders in space with soap opera level stunts. Personally, I'm cautiously willing to see how it plays out, but it does feel like a precarious move. If mishandled, it risks cheapening the gravity of Regenerations and even tarnishing Rosa's legacy. It's a bold choice, maybe too bold. In fandom terms, this was the show's Henry Winkler jumps the shark on water skis moment. We'll only know in hindsight if it's genius or folly. But now for the fun part, theories and speculation. The finale left us with a ton of questions, so let's tackle two of the big ones. First one, will Rose the Doctor stick around? Is Billie Piper actually the new Doctor going forward, or is this a temporary fluke? The episode deliberately leaves it ambiguous. The end credits didn't bill her as the Doctor, it said, introducing Billie Piper, unlike when Doctors usually get an official credit. That suggests there might be more to this twist. Let's argue it from both sides. First of all, it's possible that Billie Piper is the 16th Doctor and will lead the show, at least for a while. There's precedent for companions becoming Time Lords in spin-off media, and Piper's star power could attract lapsed viewers. She's beloved, and her return was kept secret, a huge coup in the age of spoilers. The fact that BBC and Disney kept this under wraps and even had Billie make coy press statements indicates a long game plan. One fan club runner even said he's relieved they found a new Doctor and she's a brilliant actor. On the basis of that, it was a terrific episode, expressing confidence that Doctor Who will continue strongly with Piper at the helm. If the production has indeed signed Billie Piper for a stint, we could be entering a crazy but exciting era. Rose Tyler's face, but as the Doctor navigating the universe. Story-wise, it opens intriguing character dynamics. Imagine the Doctor meeting people who remember Rose, or the Doctor struggling with having the form of his old love. Done well, it could be an emotional goldmine. And let's face it, keeping the show fresh after over 60 years sometimes takes wild swings like this. On the other hand, there are strong clues that this might be temporary. For one, as mentioned, the credits and official press releases are cagey. They're not outright calling Billie Piper the new Doctor. It feels like there's something more to this than meets the eye. Perhaps it isn't a straightforward regeneration. We've had abnormal regenerations already. I mean, the whole bi-generation situation creating duplicates muddled what regeneration means. So maybe this rose face is a short-lived form, a glitch, or even a story-specific disguise. This mysterious boss could even have a hand in it. Maybe this is part of some trap or test for the Doctor. Also, in real world terms, it'd be unusual for the next Doctor to be a total surprise and a returning actor. Usually the BBC announces new Doctors well in advance. The fact that they didn't here is either a groundbreaking new strategy or evidence that this isn't the final state. Additionally, no season 3 has been officially announced yet. If the show were confident in a long-term Billie Piper Doctor, you'd think they'd capitalise on that immediately. Instead, we're hearing there's no Christmas special and uncertainty about next season due to behind-the-scenes deal-making. This could imply that the cliffhanger might be resolved off-screen or in a one-off special that if the show's format changes. In short, Don't throw out Ncuti's suits just yet. We might see Gatwa or a different new Doctor back sooner than we think if the twist gets undone quickly. My verdict, cautious optimism. If Billie Piper truly is the next Doctor, I'm excited to see her in action. But the show has to sell it in a way that respects the lore and fans' intelligence. If it's a temporary gimmick, then I hope it at least serves a compelling narrative purpose and gives an explanation that is satisfying. A lot of fans immediately theorised a connection to Rosa's bad wolf powers, of course, and frankly, that's the best explanation we've got so far. So recall the episode The Parting of the Ways back in 2005. Rose Tyler absorbed the time vortex from the heart of the TARDIS, which did get a mention, albeit brief, in this episode, and became a nearly omnipotent entity dubbed Bad Wolf. The Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, saved Rose by absorbing that energy from her, which caused him to regenerate into Tennant's 10th Doctor. Rose's actions left a metaphysical mark on the universe, scattering bad wolf words everywhere, and perhaps on the Doctor himself. The theory goes that some of that bad wolf energy, essentially a part of Rose, remained intertwined with the TARDIS or even the Doctor's soul. Fast forward to now, in the reality war, the 15th Doctor opens the heart of the TARDIS again and floods the world with regeneration energy to bring back Poppy. It stands to reason that unleashing those forces could have reawakened the Bad Wolf remnants. If Rosa's essence was still in the TARDIS matrix, the regeneration could have been hijacked by that imprint, resulting in the Doctor taking on Rosa's form. Essentially, the Doctor is wearing Rosa's face because of her actions as Bad Wolf all those years ago. This not only ties the twist into established lore, it also feels like a poetic full circle. Rose once absorbed the Time Lord essence to save the Doctor. Now the Doctor may have absorbed Rosa's essence, however unintentionally. It's a compelling idea that Big Finish audio dramas or the novels would absolutely run with. And it's very likely Russell T Davies had this in mind. If true, the title is fitting. She's not a numbered Doctor in the usual sense, but a special case born from the TARDIS and Bad Wolf energy. We also can't ignore the cheeky clue Billie Piper dropped on Instagram. After the finale, she posted a photo of herself holding a rose with the caption, "A rose is a rose is a rose." Perhaps a nod to the idea that Rose's identity is absolute. Even as the Doctor, Rose is Rose. Or it's just Billie having fun with us. In any case, the Bad Wolf theory connects a lot of dots. It explains the face, it references a beloved era of the show, and it gives a story reason beyond because the showrunner wanted Billie back. If this Bad Wolf connection is real, it opens up more questions. Does this mean the Doctor basically is Rose now in mind and body? Unlikely, presumably the Doctor's mind is the same, just the appearance is Rose's. But any trace of Rose's personality or memories would be fascinating to explore. And could we see Rose's consciousness, or the moment, or some other time vortex entity involved? And does this tie in with the fact that the Rani, through Conrad and Desiderium, mess with reality too? Some fans even speculate that this boss could be responsible for this face swap as a trick. Plenty to theorize about on long winter nights. One thing's for sure. Doctor Who has everyone talking again. Love it or loathe it, the show swung big with the reality war. Personally, I'm curious and a bit nervous to see where all this leaves. In summary, Doctor Who, The Reality War was a roller coaster of an episode, brimming with ambition, a fair share of confusion, and some truly epic moments that will be discussed for years to come. It wrapped up major plot threads of the season, brought back classic villains, surprised us with beloved faces, and boldly sent the Doctor someplace we never expected. Whether that bold choice was brilliant or bonkers is up to each fan to decide. And I, for one, can't wait to see how this cliffhanger is going to be resolved. But I want to hear from you. What did you think of the Doctor's new Rose Tyler form? Exciting twist or a step too far? Do you buy the Bad Wolf theory, or do you have another explanation for the Rose Doctor? And with the show's future uncertain, what are your hopes for season 3 if we get one? Let's get active in the comments. If you enjoyed this in-depth review and want to join our crew for more Doctor Who and sci-fi breakdowns, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and we have a lot more to explore in the universe of sci-fi, from the Time Lords of Gallifrey to the Klingons of Kronos and beyond. Remember to let me know which sci-fi show or episodes you'd like us to tackle before Strange New Worlds Season 3 beams down in July. Your suggestion could be featured in an upcoming video. Thank you for watching, fellow travellers. Until next time, this is Stu Jackson from Hailing Frequencies signing off. Stay geeky, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next video.